Okay, let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Here.
Here. Here.
Frost. Here. Gaylord. Guerra. Here. Hanson. Harris.
Here.
Kennedy. Here. Lee.
Stephanie Wynn here for sitting in for Mayor Lee.
Thank you. Natoli. Peters. Cerna. And Terry.
Here.
We have a quorum.
And would the clerk please read the television announcement?
The meeting of the Sacramento Metropolitan Air Quality Management District is cablecast live without interruption on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on Comcast Consolidated Communications, and AT&T UVerse cable system. This meeting is being closed captioned and will be webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. Today's meeting will be repeated on Saturday, September 30th, 2017 at 2 p.m. on Channel 14. Members of the audience wishing to address the board should fill out a speaker form located on the table at the back of the chambers and give it to the clerk. Please speak into the microphone when addressing the board and state your name for the record. Also, at this time, please silence your cell phones until the conclusion of today's meeting.
Thank you. And next we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. Supervisor Kennedy, would you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Like, oh, gosh.
Next we have, it says here, announcements by the clerk.
I just read the
Oh, okay.
We can skip that one.
TV announcement, excuse me. Next we have a special presentation celebrating 100 years of Breathe California, Sacramento region.
Chair Terry, members of the board, I'm Tim Taylor, Division Manager at the Air District. I'm here today to introduce the resolution thanking the Breathe California for their 100 years of service to the region. I've worked with them for 10 years, but they have been very strong supporters of the Air District for over 40 years now, going into the 41st year. They have a very aggressive education program for students K through 12 about air quality and lung health. They have recently established a number of very successful food waste recycling programs to help us move our climate change agenda forward in a number of elementary schools in the Sacramento region. They are a founding member of the Cleaner Air Partnership, and they have been a very active supporter of the annual Cap-to-Cap air quality team. They have recently strengthened their management and their board, and in order to be even more supportive of our agency and the region going into the 101st year of their service. Here today to receive this special resolution from you, Chair Terry, are Mike Mattis, the chair of their board, and Dave Modisett, their new executive director.
Are we going to have comments first or take a picture?
Well, we wrote a speech. I think
Go
we
ahead.
want to talk. So I know many of you, and it's good to see you again. I'm Mike Mattos. I'm president of the Breathe California Sacramento region. With me today is David Modisett, Breathe's new CEO, and Jennifer, one of our staff members, who actually supports the jurisdiction with the efforts she makes. This year, Breathe California Sacramento region celebrates 100 years of nonprofit service and education to generations of children and adults in the region. Even as we celebrate the success and accomplishments of our past, our focus is on the future. Our goals remain the same as always: healthy lungs, clean air for everyone. Specific lung health and clean air priorities have changed many times over the past 100 years. In 1917, tuberculosis was the major lung health problem, killing 1 in 5 Americans. Then the effects of tobacco smoke became a priority. Without improving ambient air quality, that became our priority. We are working for a cleaner, healthier future. A changing climate may be the greatest risk to our future. We are pioneering innovation programs like the reduction in greenhouse gases by converting organic food from public schools to biogas, which can be used as a source of clean, renewable energy, thanks to the Sacramento Air District support.
We also have programs to encourage the use and development of cleaner new technologies and modes of transportation, and we invest in the future every day by educating young people and giving them the tools and skills that they will need to make healthy choices. At Breathe Sacramento, we're meeting the challenges of the future today, just as we did in the past. There will certainly be new challenges over the next 100 years, and we're ready to meet them. We are proud to partner with the Sacramento Metropolitan Air Quality Management District and look forward to many more successful ventures in the future. Thank you for your continued support.
Thank you. We're going to take a picture. Oh. Director Harris.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank you both for your work at Breathe California. The Breathe Bike Trek this year was really spectacular. I know I certainly had a great time. Mike, I'm pretty sure you did too. Air quality is such an important thing. You know, I grew up in Southern California in the 50s and 60s, and it was devastating down there. We had smog alerts often when I was a child. They wouldn't let us out of the classroom to go play in the schoolyard, and things have improved dramatically because of air quality management districts in Breathe California. So we're on the right road, and we do need to keep going. Thanks for your work.
Thank you.
I'll take it down there. Or?
He's going to tell us where to go. Okay.
Your birthday.
Early 1970s.
So with that, we'll move on to the Air Pollution Control Officer's report.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning to all of you. Very good to see you here. We work very hard to make sure that we're prepared to bring you the things that are priorities to us in our region. So this is really a critical item for us on a monthly basis. So I do appreciate you coming and spending a little time with us so that we can get your perspective and wisdom on some of the things that are, as I said, a priority for the region. Let me walk you through a number of items very quickly. One of them being the legislative update that I think you've heard from us a number of times. What I want to bring before you, as some of you have already heard from us, is the decisions that were recently made with respect to the state budget for fiscal year 2017-2018, and in particular, the cap-and-trade investments and the allocations of funding that we are anticipating. And I want to share that with you because, again, this is important for us because this is the money that is going to allow us to continue to get emission reductions that we need to meet our cleaner goals. This is important to you because this is really funding and opportunities for our local businesses and your constituents. So this is something that I hope you share with us needs to be a priority on a yearly basis. As I mentioned before, the money is coming from the new cap-and-trade program and the most recent revenues collected from the latest auction. And The best way to summarize what happened is a mix of good and not so good news for us in the region. I want to be balanced and present to you a fair characterization of how we fare as a region, as an air district, with respect to the allocations, particularly in relative to what other areas in the state are going to be getting as far as the new funding. The good news is we are estimating a potential new funding on the order of about $20 million. So again, this is the funding, the monies that we can use to work with the businesses and the sectors that you represent so that we can get emission reductions by deploying technologies in the various sectors that we regulate. The not so good news is the fact that one of the major categories under the new funding approach, the $255 million dedicated to the Carl Moyer program. Most of the money, as you're going to see in the next table, is going to other regions, and we're estimating that for Sacramento, it'll probably be about 1 to 2% of that we'll be able to use to buy cleaner engines and equipment and vehicles and so forth. So here's real quick, essentially a quick snapshot of where the monies are going to go. You can see that the category is fairly expansive. We are anticipating some new opportunities in the agricultural sector, and that's one of the major priority areas for our region. We have a long history cleaning up technology in that category. Freight is going to get a lot of attention. We have the HVIP program, which is essentially vouchers for cleaning up trucks and buses. We have the EV rebates for private car buyers who are choosing to buy zero-emission vehicles. And then we have the big allocation for Moyer, the $255 million under what is now called community air protection. And as you can see, most of the money is going down south to the Valley and to the Bay Area. And obviously, I think it's fair and understandable to say that we were disappointed that Sacramento didn't fare better, because we really tried to do what we could to lobby and to try to convey to the state decision makers the priorities that we have in the region, and the fact that we still have communities that are impacted disproportionately by the remaining air pollution that we're trying to clean up. So this is one of the major areas that you're going to hear us in the future, major areas for us to work together, because I do think that we collectively need to mobilize and do a better job going to the Capitol and speaking on behalf of our region and the priorities that we have, so that next year, hopefully, we'll be able to tap into these funds to continue the long history of very successful projects that we've had, and I'm sure that you've heard from the staff in the past about that. So anyways, like I said, I want it to be balanced. There is going to be some very significant new opportunities. In some cases, some of the current programs that we have are essentially going to double. But the not so good is the fact that we were expecting more, because obviously we are oversubscribed. We have shovel-ready projects that could have been put in place had the funding materialized. So that's the state budget, fiscal year 17-18, specifically the cap and trade funding. Moving on.
Director Natoli, you have a question?
Yeah, I do. Back to that slide, if we could, for just a minute. So if I deduce this correctly, then of the $255 million, or this is all the cap and trade funding, this is $900 million on this chart. What was the previous reference to the 255 in the Carl Moyer? We were going to get 1 or 2% of that. So how does that fit? Is that the down below there?
Right. So we're going to get anywhere between $2 and $5 million out of that, we're estimating, and that roughly comes out to be 1 or 2%.
Right. So $237 million goes to 3 other air districts, and the Bay Area gets $50 million. I mean, there is an issue of transport of pollutants, sure. And how is it that, again, I get South Coast, obviously a much bigger region, but so what formula do they use? Is it all politics?
So it's interesting. So you're right. Of the $255 million, yeah. 95% is going to the 3 districts, and then the rest of the districts, we're going to fight for 5%. The logic is based on this concept of community air protection and the fact that what the state is trying to do with this funding is to make sure that they mitigate what could be a disproportionate impact on some communities because of the carbon rules, the cap and trade, and the fact that there are some facilities that are under the cap, and these facilities, because of the way the program works, may be impacting communities around them. We don't fit that model quite precisely, right? I mean, we don't necessarily have a refinery with a number of low-income communities around it. But we still have areas that are disproportionately impacted. And all of you know where those areas are. Many of you represent those areas. So what we were trying to do is construct an argument that said we do have impacted communities, and we do have an opportunity with this funding, we think, to mitigate that impact.
So are they looking at stationary sources versus mobile sources with Carl Moyer? I always thought it was the engine change-out program and things such as that. Or what's the focus? Is it stationary sources?
It's essentially all of the above, yeah. The rules for Moyer were updated recently. So the good news, again, we have a little more flexibility in terms of the things that we can fund, for example, infrastructure, which is a key area. But like I said, I want to be fair. We were, as many of you knew because I talked to you individually about this, we were hoping that we would be able to tap into some of these fundings to, again, mitigate the impacts that we do know we have in some of our communities, these pockets around our area where we can use mitigation funding to
So is this confirmation via a budget model that we have better air than all three of those districts?
Well, we certainly are making progress, and again, as we discussed with you last month, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today.
I was being a bit sarcastic. So anyway, thanks.
So anyways.
Really quick, Director Gary, you had a question?
Yes. I mean, thanks, Director Natoli, for bringing this up. And I want to thank Alberto for discussing this issue and being upfront about it. And I know we're going to talk about it more later, but, this is a clear example of where 4 days before the end of session, this bill came into print. And this is when I woke up in the morning and I looked at it, I was going, wait a minute here. There's something that we missed. But again, it goes to the point of us being able to leverage as a region and being able to walk a couple blocks across the street to make sure that our combined interests, even though the metrics are different, then we can argue those much earlier versus 4 days before everybody leaves town. So, Alberto, thanks for that, but this was a frustrating thing to wake up in the morning and realize that there was no way to actually change it because of the 72 print rule now. So.
Got it. Thanks.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Definitely, I hope that I impress upon you this is what I hope to be a call to action, and we're going to be knocking on your door so you can help us reach out to the California delegation down the street for next year. Thank you. Quickly, so moving on. One item that you're going to see on consent calendar is something called emission reduction credits. And for those of you that may not be as familiar with the program, I just wanted to highlight a few factors to kind of give you a sense of what this is. And I'm hoping that sometime next year we can actually do a staff presentation for you that can get into a little bit more of the details. But again, this is something that we need you to approve. You're the one that has the authority to assign the credits. And these are essentially emission reductions that are voluntarily created, and they go into a bank that the district manages. And again, how do you get emission reductions? If you have a facility that shuts down, if you have a facility that is actually investing and doing things in a way that reduces emissions, those emission reductions actually have value, and we can use them later on to offset perhaps emission increases for a good reason that may be necessary when we see development happening around a town. And again, these are the banks that we as a district manage. So again, I just wanted to point that out. You have a consent item. We're going to need your vote and hopefully support for issuing some of these credits to a couple of our local businesses. And again, I hope to come back in the near future with a little bit more information for you. As you know, October is going to be the last board meeting, and we are preparing and anticipating the things that we need you to help us with before the end of the year. And I just wanted to give you a preview of what's coming. Probably one of the most critical programs that you are all aware of is our Check Before You Burn program. is going to come into effect in November. We will not be meeting in November or December. That's why we need to give you a little bit of a description in terms of what we're anticipating for the region. We're going to talk a little bit about climate action plans specifically for our Sacramento County region. And then one thing that we had committed to come back to you, because Director Hansen had inquired about this, is this new APCO abatement authority, AB 1132, that is essentially new authority that the Air Pollution Control Officer has to essentially halt emissions under emergency situations. It was predicated on a couple of really bad situations down south where there was some toxic emissions that were impacting the community, and the APCO down there didn't have a lot of flexibility to do much about it, but we'll be bringing you that in terms of sharing with you how this will actually work in our district and what the real impact potentially could be. But again, it's a good thing that we have this new authority. And then there's going to be a few other items that we're going to have to bring to you because we're trying to meet end of year deadline. So I'm giving you a heads up, and hopefully you can be with us and help us go through the October meeting, which will be the last for the year. We'll try to not keep you here too long, but we are anticipating a number of items that will require action before the end of the year. And then moving on to other businesses, there's a couple things that I want to share with you that are relevant to the Air District. The first is that we lost our lobbyist, Brendan Tuig, with whom you have had some interaction. He was here in July to give us an update on the legislative report and some of the cap and trade discussions. He has approached us and decided to terminate the contract with the district. He's also the consultant for CAPCOA, the Air District Association. So to some extent, he will continue to support us, but we are in the process of finding a replacement. We think that the lobbyist is obviously a critical position. I don't think anyone of us and the staff has the capacity or quite the right fit to do that sort of a job, but any ideas or any suggestions that you may have, we'd be more than happy to talk to you about that. And then a couple things. The next thing, you heard about the 100-year celebration for Breathe California. They're having their gala event coming up. The Air District did become a table sponsor. So for those of you directors that may be interested in attending, we're going to be following up with you to give you some choices as far as if you want to represent the district and participate. And I'm hoping that we can split the tickets and also share them with our staff. So we're trying to figure out if we have a raffle or something like that for people to be able to participate. And then the last thing here is, again, the staff, myself included, have been busy participating in a number of technical conferences. It's a busy time of the year, going out to different conferences and so forth. And then the last thing, it's too bad Director Hansen is not here because this is one of his initiatives, but I'm proud to say that we're going to be working with the City of Sacramento, with SACOG, and ourselves to sponsor and support this bikeway community event that is happening around Sacramento. And again, it's an idea that gets the word out about the importance of active transportation, bicycle in particular. It is going to be a very interesting display of a better way to do bike lanes, and we're excited that we're able to participate in this event coming up in early October. And that is the Air Pollution Control Officer's report. I don't know if you guys have any questions at the moment.
Any questions from directors? Okay, thank you.
We do have, before we move on,
That's right, and we do have a public comment. Bill? Thank you for the reminder.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Bill Mueller with Valley Vision and also the Director of the Clean Air Partnership. Directors, good morning. I wanted to come before you in order to speak to the cap and trade issue. As you know, in addition to the many roles that Valley Vision plays, we are also the staff and manager of the Cleaner Air Partnership. We just celebrated the 100-year anniversary of one of our cornerstone institutions, Breathe California, the other, the Metro Chamber. The Clean Air Partnership was formed 30 years to focus on two things: importantly, not only cleaning the air, but also making sure that we are protecting jobs and promoting economic growth. We believe that we can do both. And the cap and trade program over the last couple of years has been a significant area of interest, especially given the fact that cap and trade proceeds are coming back to our communities in the form of millions of dollars. And we want to make sure that this Sacramento region has its fair share. That can be a challenge because we lack the clout of places like San Francisco and LA. And so it requires us to be as organized or better organized than we possibly can. Our commitment to you, working with your Air District staff and leadership, which we're so very happy to do, is to organize now for next year, to make sure that we do have those shovel-ready projects, and we're doing everything that we can to pre-qualify those projects to make sure that we are in the queue and ready to go. But what's more, we need to do more to work with our local lawmakers to make sure that they understand our priorities and that they're with us every step of the way, beginning at the beginning of session, so that they can protect our interest and advocate as effectively as possible through that. So whether it's through the Cleaner Air Partnership or Valley Vision directly, we want to work very closely with you so that we are able to achieve that very positive outcome, and look forward to doing that in the weeks and months ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So with that, we're supposed to go into closed session, but schedules permitting, can we do the consent agenda first? Is there anything that anybody wants to pull from the consent agenda? With that, I'll entertain a motion. I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a second by Cruz. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, consent calendar is approved. And with that, we will adjourn to closed session.